Good morning, everyone. This is Kristy Bird MaKieve. I'm the CEO and GME Administrator with Healthy Rural California, a sponsoring institution accredited by ACGME, and we are in the midst of launching both a psychiatry residency and a proposed family medicine residency. Today is Monday, March 13th, and this message is primarily recorded for the physicians at Enloe Medical Center and our other partners as we prepare to really provide a strong curriculum and application to ACGME for the family medicine residency. Most of the physicians that will be hearing this are affiliated with Enloe Medical Center. Enloe Medical Center is our primary hospital for this application to ACGME. And there's just a lot of work that's coming up. It won't be onerous, I promise. But I just wanted to articulate what this is, because in March and in April is the time frame where we really need our family medicine faculty to provide us a couple of things, and that we want to provide the support to get there. Really short and simple. When you agree to become faculty for the family medicine residency through Healthy Rural California, in order for us to submit to ACGME a really strong application, we need from you a CV that is current. And in particular, we want to really look into the last 5 years and see what kind of scholarly activity and faculty development that you have done. And of course, because the area is GME naive, we understand that that's not something that you normally have on deck ready to go. You may not even have a CV because that isn't something that's normally required in your role. But for accreditation by ACGME, it is required. And in particular, in that CV, for the past 5 years, we're looking for what kind of scholarly activity you've done, what kind of faculty development, and all of that can be, for example, participating in Enloe's QI Summit, even just once during the last 5 years, but especially if you were participating every year, if you did a poster, if you did research for that poster, if you presented at the summit, participated in a committee for any of Enloe's wonderful work that you do. So those are the kinds of things we need to probably meet with you to really drill down, because it's so foreign to all of us. There are very, very few people who have actually applied to become accredited for any sort of specialty. It's an honor, and we actually have some experience, I'm happy to say. Healthy Rural California's GME leadership team went through all of this throughout the year of 2022. So starting in January of 2022 is when we really dove into the psychiatry residency, which you may have heard was recently accredited. So we're familiar with the process, and we know that it's not something you're not normally running around with an updated CV and doing research and doing writing for publications or anything like that. That's not the norm for many of us in the area. And so we've done everything that we possibly could to help facilitate that. So coming up in March and April, we're just trying to set up as many opportunities to talk to you, to facilitate those questions, to really help you develop that CV so that it presents the information that you have, the work that you have done, and then presents it in a way to ACGME that is something that will resonate with them. There's a lot of work that we have to do on the back end as well, and that includes our consultants, Brooke and Becca with Germain Solutions. We have to enter those CVs, each of our faculty's CVs into a system and really pull out certain things that the ACGME review committee will be looking for, which would be that scholarly activity and faculty development. So our goal is to work with you and help guide that. And then the other part of the assignment, if if you will, is that in order to submit this application to ACGME, we need to have you understand the goals and objectives. So there's a lot of agreements that have to be put into place, and they're academic agreements. They're basically saying that, yes, you as a faculty who's going to teach our future family medicine residents understand what their goals and objectives are so that you are understanding what you're going to teach and what they need to learn. The goals and objectives then get wrapped up into what's called a program letter of agreement. And we need to have that for each of the required curriculum components. And it's per organization. So what's going to happen is these individual goals and objectives for each of the curriculum requirements and rotations. And then that wraps up into one program letter of agreement with Enloe Medical Center. And then we have a program letter of agreement with any other facility that we partner with. Say there's a different, excuse me, continuity clinic, or we have to, we're looking at peds and dermatology at this moment, and we think it's going to be through Enloe. But if by any chance that steps outside of Enloe and we have to partner with a different organization, that would require a different program letter of agreement and different goals and objectives per that learning objective. I know this is a lot of information. It's really not that onerous. It's only onerous because, again, none of us have gone through life submitting an application to ACGME. And so I think I come to this in 2023 for family medicine with a lot of hope and enthusiasm, actually, because we just went through this with the psychiatry residency last year. And so I can see the big picture of it all and how it's going to come together with an amazing application to ACGME. And I'm just recording this today so that I can convey that same vision to you. And I get that it's not easy to see. And I also am recording this today because I'm going on a 2-week vacation in a couple of days, and I don't want to lose momentum simply because Kristy has to take her vacation. This was actually a vacation that should have happened in January 2022, but we punted as a family because of the COVID surges at that time. And so anyway, I don't want my vacation to slow things down. And I understand how important it is for each of the faculty member to understand their individual role, but also how this will all come together at the end of April and beginning of May in an awesome application for accreditation. I can see it already. We're really already making great strides. So that's what I wanted to say. There's a couple of things that you can do right here, right now, that we are helping to facilitate to get that scholarly activity. I know it seems like, what, what can you do about it now? Well, there are some things. For example, on March 23rd, we have our virtual grand rounds through Butte-Glenn Medical Society. On April 14th, which is Friday, we're going to have a GME Summit at Enloe Conference Center from 1 to 4 p.m. And you should attend any and all available things right now, because literally that's what you need to do to list them on your CV, and that we then enter into the application system. So April's got a lot of great stuff happening. On the 21st, we'll also make this available to you. UC Davis is having a massive faculty development. It's like an all-day thing, and really great sessions on, how to be a good faculty member. That is, we have an academic affiliation agreement, Healthy World California, with UC Davis, so that you would be able to participate in their faculty things. We're also developing an affiliation agreement with Touro University, College of Osteopathic Medicine in Vallejo, and their deans of education are going to come speak at our April 11th, Tuesday dinner. This is a dinner where we present Butte-Glenn Medical Society Scholar Awards to aspiring physicians. And we also we were also going to be celebrating the accreditation of the psychiatry residency. So there'll be a big focus on graduate medical education and the importance of medical education. So that's April 11th at Butte-Glenn Country Club. You do need to register in advance. April 14th, Friday, is the GME Summit at Enloe Medical Center. And then there's some other things happening. March 23rd, virtual grand rounds. Our next virtual grand rounds would be April 20th, I believe. I'll send that information as well. And, basically it's going to be in a pretty constrained time frame so that we can, we encourage you to continue doing, scholarly activity throughout the year. But if you're able to participate in these things in March and April, that actually counts toward the application and strengthens our application to ACGME, because it's then, we're showing that each of our faculty members have participated in these things and are actively active in academics, whether it's through us at Healthy Rural California or Butte-Glenn Medical Society or any other region. So I hope that makes sense. I am going to speak really quickly about timeframes. There's, of course, and understandably, a lot of discussion about whether we would have the first cohort of family medicine residents starting in 2024 or 2025. And I'm just going to say, yes, that's important. But if we could put that conversation aside for the moment, there are many reasons why we might say in the application that we are striving for 2024 for the first cohort. And that may be a way for us to prioritize our application to ACGME. Here's what I know. For psychiatry, we were one of 7 in the entire United States that got accredited in February 2023. And that's pretty much it for the entire year. Now, they do have another review committee, so it could be another 7. So maybe a total of no more than 15 per year get accredited in the United States. In comparison, family medicine is much more competitive and much more, many more programs submitting applications. And so there may be a reason that we say in the application, we're striving for 2024. And that is true, right? We're not putting anything in the application that isn't true. However, the way that the review committee, they meet, they have a very set schedule, and we need to be submitting the strongest application that we can. And that may take us a little while longer, and we don't actually meet the deadlines of ACGME, which bumps us into a later start date. All of that's cool too, right? So what we can only do right here, right now in March and April of 2023 is get ourselves together, the faculty getting their CVs, the scholarly activity, goals and objectives, and getting to a point where we have all our program letters of agreement signed and an understanding of all the learning goals and objectives. That's all we can really do. And there's a bunch of different scenarios because the review process does take quite some time. It can take no less than 6 months and could take more than a year. So we don't know, right? All we know is we need to submit the strongest application as possible. And then when that goes through all of the ACGME steps, it might mean that we receive our accreditation announcement in late February 2024, and the match system runs September through mid-March. And if we really wanted to be in the 2024 match day process, we may be too far along to actually to get that accreditation and then become part of that 2024 first cohort. I hope that makes sense. We just did this with psychiatry, but we were always aiming to start our residents in 2024 because as a new and innovative, we're quite a unique psychiatry residency program in a GME naive area. And so we wanted to take that time to really recruit for candidates and really find the best match for the psychiatry residency with right, there's not a lot of knowledge out there in the United States that we exist for psychiatry. And so then we are now recruiting hardcore for for applicants to join in this when ERAS opens in September for the 2024 cycle. We knew we needed that time frame. We have just had our first medical student rotate for 2 weeks here in Chico, and that was phenomenal. We are going on Wednesday to meet at UC Davis School of Medicine to recruit and sort of promote both the medical student rotations and the psychiatry residency. And I'm saying this because not only is it that we had this set time frame because we were just so unique and there aren't that many rural psychiatry programs in the United States, so we needed to really promote ourselves. Excuse me, but we are also in the midst of getting our information out there, and it's possible that we could have a couple of family medicine medical students rotating through the area, and so we might get to February and March 2024 in much better shape for family medicine in terms of recruitment. And then there's tons of efforts in the United States to promote family medicine graduate medical education programs in rural communities. So it's a very different, we're in a Healthy Rural California is in a very different recruitment space for 2024. And family medicine is also in a very different recruitment space than psychiatry. So regardless of the decisions that will ultimately be made when we get accredited for family medicine, and if we don't get accredited in early 2024, we have to, reapply and do the whole thing again and make sure that we have a stronger application. So there's a lot we don't know right here, right now in March 2023. And so that's why I get it, right? All decisions about when that first cohort will start will become more apparent in time. And so I'd really like to focus our energy on just making sure we have the strongest application together in March and April 2023. And we'll figure out the start date, what's best for everyone. And I will say very, very clearly that our partnership with Enloe Medical Center is very important. And we do not want to, we want to, I should say, be as helpful as we can as Enloe Medical Center steps into this new GME role. And then that triggers the cap. And we all know there's 5 years. So I also want to reassure folks that I have gotten a quote from Germain Solutions to do what's called an initial feasibility study with Enloe Medical Center, which would then provide that data of what other medical residencies are possible, what other GME can we do in the future based on what we have right here, right now, and then put together a really great strategy and support that strategy so that Enloe is not reaching the cap without as much effort as we possibly have, with as many residents as they possibly can, I should say. So there's a lot, right? There's a lot of ingredients, and unfortunately, it's not necessarily like baking a cake where you have all the ingredients and you're pretty darn sure the cake is going to come out looking a certain way. And, in this instance, the decision making happens along a time frame and involves a lot of different perspectives. So anyway, please focus this March and April 2023 on faculty CVs, goals and objectives. I do want to say that ACGME's Family Medicine Review Committee has changed the requirements for the applications. It's a massive change. Our team just went to Nashville to the ACGME annual conference, and we were involved in a lot of different sessions that were focused on the fact that family medicine requirements have changed significantly. They all go into effect July 1st, 2024. So again, there's factors into why we need to get this application in and why we're really confident that we have a great start, a great foundation, and we just need to focus in March and April. So that being said, it's actually a fantastic time to submit an application to ACGME for family medicine. So I hope this answers your questions, but please also know we're trying to set up, Dr. Mairano and myself, and Dr. Miller as well. We're trying to set up a lot of different ways that can help facilitate the discussions around your CV and the goals and objectives for your particular specialty or subspecialty as required by ACGME. And so we're trying to make this as easy as possible and to answer your questions, but hopefully this video is a great overview to sort of get that big picture, and we'll just continue working with you. If you have any questions whatsoever, please don't hesitate to reach out. We have a fantastic team. Dr. Mairano's the point person at this time. And then we are in the midst of really getting our staff together for supporting this effort. We have the psychiatry staff, but we need to hire the family medicine staff. And Healthy Rural California, as the sponsoring institution, does have funding to do this launch of the family medicine residency. So that's enabling us to move forward and support you in a much better capacity than even a year ago. I mean, we were also so new to the process and just trying to get the psychiatry application in. But we did it, and we learned a ton along the way. And we are so happy and proud to be working with you to bring this family medicine residency to fruition, and any other residency programs that the community can support. So, all right, thank you so much. And again, don't hesitate to ask questions. Dr. Mairano is probably the best person at this point just because of our vacation schedules, but we don't want to hold that up for you. All right, ciao.